Hello, everybody. Your host here, Alejandro Esparza, on this beautiful day. We are excited. This is the fifth one recorded. I got another one coming with a radiation oncologist who's now private equity. I got a few more coming up, so stay tuned, watch, like, subscribe, tell us what you like. Today, I have a special guest, my wife, Jennifer Esparza. She is an advocate like myself. She mainly focuses on spouses, surviving spouses, all that fun stuff. She was a spouse while I was in. And this is her. So, Jennifer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jen Esparza, and like my husband said, I do the surviving spouse seminars with him, and I try to educate on the benefits that a lot of the surviving spouses don't know that we have found.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what got you into surviving spouses?
So, one thing that really interested me in the surviving spouse was helping you with the veterans. You do a lot of the veteran seminars, and a lot of these seminars were surviving spouses as well. And a lot of them didn't know that they could use their benefits or even purchase houses. So that made you dig in a little deeper, and I digged in a little deeper and found out that even though some of the spouses' husbands have passed, they can still use their benefits. And what we found was not a lot of people knew, and nobody was educating them in this department. So I feel like that's our little niche we found, was to help and support surviving spouses.
Okay, so who are you? You as a military spouse. Who is Jennifer?
So I am a spouse. Also, I am going to school. I worked at some medical clinics that would help some veterans, and that's what I saw. Everybody needs help, and everybody needs information. And one thing that I saw was when you were doing your benefits, nobody could help you. Nobody knew how to help or anything, so you did it yourself. And then we would go to a lot of networking events, and we found not a lot of people knew the information. So I think that's what helped me kind of become more of an advocate and kind of get out of my shell, because you're very go with people, and I'm an introvert.
So let's talk about the beginning. Spouse in the military.
Okay, so being a spouse in the military, I didn't think, at first I thought it was very easy because I have family that served in the military, and that was totally not correct. What is correct is it's very hard, and it is very difficult for somebody who's not away from their family, and I had to learn to kind of take it all in at once, which was very new to me. So it was very difficult at times. We didn't have any children at the time, so I definitely had to adjust just being by myself. And one thing I learned was in the military, a lot of the spouses already have children, and they have a routine. Someone that's new doesn't really know, not much support, doesn't really get that support of how to fit in, being a new spouse and everything, which is kind of difficult. So I like that we created this event, because it kind of brings the spouses together and kind of learn and talk about each other's events and how we dealt with it. And it was a very different learning experience I had versus going to visit my aunt and uncle wherever they were stationed at, and then go home. Being a spouse, you worry. You don't get the returned phone calls. If you miss a call, you can't call back. You have to wait. And sometimes that's very nerve-wracking. And then sometimes we go months without talking. I definitely learned I had to send your packages earlier, because if I sent them probably like a week away from Christmas, you wouldn't get it till like July or January or February. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted you to make sure you got your Christmas gift or Thanksgiving or whatever gifts I sent you. So it was definitely a learning curve for sure.
So where were you stationed at? You really haven't got into
Oh, yes.
Sunday
Okay.
service.
So I was a kid, a really dumb kid at that. You were stationed in Alaska, and I thought I knew everything about Alaska, which I did not. I flew to Alaska with my sister-in-law, and we didn't know what to expect. Everybody there, it's like 30, 40 degrees, and they're in shorts, and me and my sister-in-law are in ski jackets and buttoned up to the T, so they definitely knew we weren't from there. And we had a lot of learning experiences, and which is crazy because you would call at the right moments that we were in trouble if we didn't know. And then after that, we were stationed in Hawaii, which I definitely wish I would have took more advantage of, but I was a new mom, and so I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have.
I feel like you're blanketing over a lot of stuff. So you can go back. Let's go back to Alaska. You said that I would call.
Yes. So I can go more into detail. So I will tell you a story which I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times, and which is very crazy. So we had got your truck, and we were in this little Ford Ranger, and I was still new to driving stick, and your sister helped me a lot with driving, even though you taught me a lot, and I was just still rusty. So we go one morning, we were in the hotel, we were like, hey, let's go look around, because at that time we were looking for a house. So you would have a house to come back to when you were, after you came back from deployment. So we get in your truck and we turn on the truck. Laura's driving and she turns it on and it doesn't start. And we're like, what's going on? Why won't the car start? And mind you, we're two young girls, know nothing about cars, nothing. So we go to the front desk and we're like, hey, can you help us with our car? Like, it doesn't want to start. And this guy comes and he's like trying to start it, and he's like, oh, I think it's your ignition. Made us worried. We're like, oh my God, like, what are we gonna do? We don't know anybody here. All my husband's friends that I know, they're in the military. They're deployed with my husband, so we don't know anybody. So he's like, I'm gonna give you a boost and go to AutoZone. And we're like, okay. So Laura's looking up AutoZone, and I'm just there like, oh my gosh, please start, please start. So he finally gets it started. So we head to AutoZone, and Laura's driving, and I'm telling her where to go. And we get there, and the guy comes out to the car, because we tell him like, oh, we think it's our ignition. The guy told us, like, we don't know, can you help us? And he's like, yeah. So he brings like a little kit. I don't know what it was, but he tested the battery, and he was like, it's your battery. It's not your ignition. Your battery's dead. Like, you need a new one. He was like, did you plug in your car? And we're like, plug in our car? And he's like, yeah, you didn't plug it in. And we're like, we don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Plug in your car? Like, excuse me? We're not from here. So he starts laughing, and he goes and he walks us to the front, and he's like, you didn't notice this? And it's like a plug that you plug in.
It's like an extension cord.
Yeah, like an extension cord.
And then it goes from your front bumper, yeah.
And we're like, oh, what does that do? He was like, you plug it in, and it keeps your car warm, so it will start in the morning. And we're like, oh, okay. And at that time, me and Laura were laughing because everywhere we saw, everybody had their windshield wipers up. And we're like, what the heck? Why are people having their windshield wipers
Who
up?
is that?
Like,
Weird.
yeah, totally weird. Like, we are not doing that. So we
Losers.
did it. We found out why everybody put their windshield wipers up, because ours were stuck to the windshield. So that was fun. So he goes and he gets it to battery, and we're like gonna pay for it and everything. And as we're paying for it, he was like, yeah, just whenever you're done installing it, like bring back your old battery and you'll get credit, like you'll get money back. And me and my sister-in-law, we like look at each other, we're like, what do you mean when you put it in? Like, you don't do it? And he starts laughing. He's like, no. And we're like, well, we don't know nobody. Like, oh my God, can you do it? Like, we'll pay you if you do it. And he was like, don't worry about it. I got you. So he goes and he puts us in the new battery. He gets the money back. We let him have the money because we're like, thank you so much. You saved us. Young, crazy girls not knowing anything about cars. It was crazy.
So a lot of that was probably my fault. I should have primed y'all and let y'all know. But you don't know what you don't know. And for like that, we are married. We've been married for 13 years, 14 years. You don't know what you don't know. And I feel like I messed up a lot. And a lot of it was stuff like that. Being young, being dumb, I never took your experience into account. I just assumed that you knew what I knew, and you do not.
I thought I did. So you warned me, and you told me not to come until you came back from deployment. Okay. And
so I did have pearls of wisdom.
You did. And I did not listen. I was like, he doesn't know. I want to be away from my family. Like, I can do it. Yeah, I'm a baddie, a slay girl slay. And
I'm a bitch boss. What is
that? Yeah, a boss bitch.
I'm a boss bitch.
And that was not the case at all. I definitely learned a lot. So definitely do your research or talk to somebody that's lived in Alaska before, because it is totally different. Totally different. I have another funny story if you want to hear.
Absolutely.
So, me and your sister, we were house hunting at the time. And me and your sister were going around looking for houses, which if you're deployed, just get an apartment. Like, don't do the house thing.
They need to buy.
Oh, correct.
Buy a house.
Yes, which we'll get into later. But at this time, we didn't know that. We did not have this information. So we were renting at the time, which we were looking for a house. Mm-hmm. And your sister goes and she's driving, and we pull up to this property. And she's on the phone with her husband, and I'm like, I'm gonna get out, like the realtor's right there, like we'll go look at this house, but I'll wait for you. And she's like, okay. So I get out of the car. Mind you, we're in snow season, so the snow is like very thick and you can't see anything, like it's so thick, so you're there stepping. Well, I walk in front of...
Like under the snow, you can't see nothing?
Yeah, you can't see anything because the snow is like so thick. So I didn't see where the realtor had walked, so I was just making my own tracks. So I walk in front of the truck, and there's this pothole that I did not see because the snow was covering it, and the snow was really thick. It was like kind of up to my knees, and I'm very tall at that. So I go and I step, and my sister said all she saw was me go down, and she was like, oh my God, where's Jennifer? Like, she totally fell, or she's gone. Yeah. So she gets out of the car and she looks, and I'm just there laughing. And I'm like, dude, be careful. There's potholes or something. Like, it took me out. And she's there laughing, and the realtor's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And we're like, yeah. I was totally embarrassed. And we went and looked at the house. But after that, that's where she was trying to show us another property, which was on the mountaintop. Mind you, we're young.
So another story.
Another one. We don't know how. I have a list.
That's good. It's good. Keep going. Keep rolling.
We don't know how to drive up the mountain, aka my sister-in-law, because I did not drive. So she was driving up the mountain. And mind you, this mountain, to them, it's a hill. and it's very steep, and we're going up, and it was snowed. We didn't know anything about the tire chains or anything like that. We didn't know about traction. What girl knows about traction? Like, we're young. We don't care about that stuff. We just like the cars that look nice.
Fancy words.
Fancy words. Traction, who needs that? So we're going up this hill, aka mountain, and we're going, and then all of a sudden this truck is like fighting to go up, but we're rolling back, and the engine is smoking. There's this white smoke coming out of the engine. And at that time, I'm screaming my head off, and I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna die. Because at the side, it's just drop. No rail, guardrail, no nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna die. And Laura's telling me to be quiet because like she needs to concentrate. Everybody's stressed. And by some miracle, it's like you knew. So you had called, and I put you on speaker, and we're screaming, and you're like, what's going on? And we're like, we're gonna die, I'm gonna die. And you're like, what's happening? And I'm like, there's smoke coming out of the hood. We don't know what we're doing. We're sliding down. Like, help us. And mind you, he's in Afghanistan. He cannot help.
Not from Afghanistan.
So we're there screaming, and you're like, put it in neutral and just don't move the wheel. Like, gently go back. Yeah. And we're like, okay, mind you, we did not go visit that house. I told Laura, we can't do it in the snow. I'm not doing it. So we did not look at that house.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
It's foresight. If you can't just visit it, how can you live in it?
Yeah, no, definitely. No, nice. We were dying there. So, yeah, crazy times.
So I do want to go back to the whole buy a house thing. Renting is good. I think the issue was we were just going for too much house.
Yes, definitely. And that's another thing. Parents need to talk to their children about marriage, because I was taught the girls get the big pretty house, life is just dandy, like it's a fairy tale. That's a lie. Don't let anybody tell you that. That is a lie.
You can't just start off at 21 with a massive house.
No, you're not a billionaire. At least not from little old Leveland. So my expectations were up here, and I needed to come to reality, which was down here. So I wish we would have known about the BAH, where you would actually buy property instead of renting, because then we would have a really good portfolio, and we would have that extra income instead of never seeing it again, which that's what we did. We blew money.
So let's go into the whole too much house.
Yes. So I wanted, mind you, it's just me and my husband at this time, so it's just two of us. But I wanted a 5-bedroom house. I wanted brand new furniture.
You can't afford that.
Yeah, no.
Not some lowly E4 in the Army. He totally can.
He can totally afford it.
He totally can.
Like, whatever. I saw his card amount. We were having a good time at Joe's Crab Shack.
That was the money saved before we got married. I was able to stack some cash.
I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have unlimited funds.
Woo!
I can totally afford a 5-bedroom house. And it was totally not doable for us. We struggled. Mm-hmm. We struggled a lot. And I wanted, mind you, again, I was a dumb kid, young. My ambitions were up here, and I needed to come back down to reality. I thought we could afford the brand new cars.
I wouldn't say ambitions. I would say standards.
Yeah, standards. There you go. My standards. They were very high. Very, very expensive. But I was kind of spoiled as a kid, so I expected the best. And I wanted the brand new cars and the big old house, and I wanted people to come visit and have their own room and not have to sleep on the couch. And who cares? Let them sleep on the couch. Let them rent their own hotel room. Like, they came to see you. It's nice to be courteous, and you can always host, but if you don't have the room, that's okay. They can sleep on the couch. Nobody really cares. They just...
I even tell you, on top of that, they can even do on base like the hotels and stuff.
Yes,
get them on base and get them cheap accommodations. Which
I did not want that.
And I'll tell you, one of the things that I found out, and we may get a little, I want to say political. We may get some people angry, but whenever I was young, I was brought up in this society. I was brought up that me and you are 100% equal.
Correct.
And I thought that you would have the same thoughts, ideas. I thought you were in the same place I was mentally. So I didn't think, I was always told that, if I was a leader, if I take, charge and said, hey, this is what we're doing, I would be a controlling asshole. I would be this evil person. I'd be awful. I would be, Satan incarnate. And what I see now and what I've learned now is, you do really great things, but they're different than the things I do.
Correct.
What I've noticed is you are really focused on social dynamics. You're really big on interpersonal relationships. Mm-hmm. So whenever you go somebody and you meet somebody, like in workplace scenarios, there's going to be a lot of conflict.
Correct.
And whenever you would get in conflict, you stew on it.
Oh, yeah.
And you stew on it for weeks and months, and you just come back and you're just riled up, and not saying that women can't work, because you absolutely can. You have done some great things, whether it be eyelashes, whether it be building direct care clinics, whether it be any of that. Everybody that has worked with you has said tremendous things. You have done amazing things. Whenever you have a specific job, you can do it well.
I agree with that.
But
I do have a downside.
Yes.
I think everybody does.
Yes, we do.
When I came into the marriage, I was taught something totally different than you. Mm-hmm. Not to say that it was bad or anything. I think our parents just were taught by their parents and didn't know any better. But I guess as a couple, you have to learn to only depend on your spouse and not family. Mm-hmm. Because you're creating your own family.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I didn't do. And I was also taught the woman did everything and the man would listen. The woman would say something. Correct. And he would follow. Correct. The daughter stayed with the mom and the husband would come to the mom's family. Not saying that's wrong, but you also have to spend time with your husband's side of the family. So you get to know them and everything. And then you just go home to your own little house and have your own family time. And that's something that I didn't do. That I wish I would have leaned more into, especially when it came to Alaska, mm-hmm. Because I was very homesick. That's another story that I can share with you. As a spouse, not knowing anybody in Alaska, a brand new.
We can get to that, but I kind of want to go back, and you even said it a little bit there too. The dynamics, and I'll say it. I'll say that that's not the way that couples should run. And every couple is different. Every couple is different. So, if you have a relationship and y'all are doing great, do it, because there is a billion different ways to do things. Yeah. But what I will say is, whenever I look at friends relationships, veterans, people that I know, whatever, whenever the woman takes charge and the man's passive and the man sits back and the man's like, and does it. And I think that's what society tells us to do. The relationship goes sour. The relationship goes sour quickly.
I think that's why there's a lot of divorces.
I think you're right.
And not a lot of people stay married for very long. And I'll tell you, I was I'm very stubborn.
No. Never.
I'm very stubborn at times, especially when I was younger. If I had my mindset on it, I was going to fight for it. And that's one thing that me and you bumped our heads a lot of the time, because you would see us at an equal, and I would be the one that would be like, no, we're going to do it like this. And we would do it. And then if it didn't go right, I was panicking. And then I would look at you like, what are we going to do? And then you're like, well, let's make a plan. And then whenever you would fix it, then it would go back to my way. Now we're going to do it back my way. And it's just a terrible cycle, which you, instead of helping your relationship growing, you're actually destroying it really inside. And that's where I think where it bubbles up, and a lot of people get divorced. We've separated 3 or 4 times, and it's crazy.
It happens.
And we always come back, but I think every time we come back, it's a learning experience. We're like, okay, this didn't work for us, now let's try this. And I think that's where a lot of us need to, it's very hard to accept when you're wrong. And we were taught that women aren't wrong, we're right. A lot of people say the saying, happy wife, happy life. And that's not true. No matter how happy the wife is, the relationship can suffer from it. And it may look nice and pretty on the outside, but on the inside of the home, it's very, they don't talk to each other. They're probably sleeping in different bedrooms. They argue, and then out in public, oh, they're the best couple ever. It's, y'all never fight. No, we never fight. Y'all are just so perfect, and that's just not how it is. And I think that's where we need to be a little more honest and teach everybody that it's okay to have disagreements. It's okay to be different, but it's also okay to let your husband lead you. And I think that's what it says in the Bible, is the husband's supposed to lead as the head of the house, and the wife is not saying that she doesn't have an opinion or she can't say what's right or doesn't agree. That's not right. I think every woman can have an opinion, but I also think that most of the time, if you have a husband that is very good at getting you out of shitty situations, even though he's not there, he could be miles away, like you were in Afghanistan, and you helped. Like, I think if your husband shows signs of good leadership, you should definitely lean more into that and let him know that y'all are partners, and you give him your full trust that he's gonna do right with your life.
And I agree with you completely. And I think a lot of it, it goes back to childhood. It goes back to a lot of different things, society. Yeah. But I agree with you 1,000,000%. And I will say, for the men, I am in no way perfect. I got some fluff on me. I'm a little hefty, but I am working on it. I have my faults. But what I will say is, even through all of that, we have to burden a lot as men. Yes. And we kind of had a conversation the other night, whenever you were laying on me, and I don't have anybody to lean on. And, I'm supposed to lean on God. You're going to get biblical. I lean on God. And you lean on God to an extent, but you lean on me. I am there. You are my church, and then I'm supposed to die for you. And I see it. I see it. And even whenever it looks at relationships and even social dynamics, whenever I'm working, I will have conflict with a lot of people in my office. I have a lot of people conflict all the time. I'm a realtor. In the last few weeks, I've had a lot of issues with people that I was working with. And you hear the situations and you get mad, and you're fired up for like a week, and you can't do that when it comes to business. Yeah. You can't. And I'm not saying that you can't learn that and women can't do that, but me as a man, naturally, it's not that big of a deal.
That's where it's hard for me. I don't know how you let it roll off your shoulder.
You have to.
I find it very difficult, and that's one of my struggles, is when somebody does me wrong, or when I've worked my butt off really hard for them and they don't, um, I guess, appreciate it, or they talk down like, oh, that's all you did? Well, work harder. And I'm like, really? I did this extra mile for you when a lot of people do the bare minimum. But I want other people's businesses to succeed so well. And I kind of take it in like as my own little baby. And that's one thing that I struggle with. It's not my business.
Yeah.
It's
But I think a lot of people struggle with it. But one thing that my dad taught me, young, and I will talk about my past, and I feel like there's a lot of things. But one thing my dad taught me young was my feelings don't matter. I was taught that so early.
I was not.
I was a kid, and I was working at my dad's machine shop, and my thought was, and this is a child's thought, is if I'm in a bad mood, I can be in a bad mood. I'm here working, and I'm there throwing a fit. My dad gets a hold of me, and he's not ugly with it. He's just like, Hondo, he's like, you're young, and you have a good job. You have money coming in. I promise. There's people in this town that don't. And if I call them, I'd hire them. Like they jump at it, and I have them waiting down the block. And I mean, that's not in every situation, and you shouldn't let your boss, control you or manipulate, whatever you want to call it. But reality is there are people out there that want that job, and you're producing. That's a good thing. Working is a good thing. Working is a great thing, and I needed to be appreciative. I needed to appreciate that I had a job, especially at a young age. I needed to appreciate that I was making good money, and I need to be happy to work, because I will tell you, and this is one thing that me and you see differently, and you've seen it for a little bit better now. But what I'll tell you, and this comes from my time with my dad, this comes from my time in the military, is when things suck, because it's going to be hard. Your job is going to be hard. Your situation is going to be hard. When I was in Afghanistan, it was hard. When I was in Iraq, it was hard. When I was in basic, it was hard. What you learn is the people beside you, their mood affects you more than anybody else, more than anything else. You can be in an awful situation, and if you're working with people and they're just just angry and bitter and complaining, the entire work situation just sucks. Yeah. Everything sucks, and that's what I was learning as a kid. My dad was like, "You need to cheer up. You need to be grateful. You need to be happy that you're working." And he didn't say that. He said that, but he didn't talk about verbatim being making everybody's day worse, but that's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. And I'll tell you, as a man, nobody cares about your struggles. And I'll tell you, you want to reach out? I care. I would love to talk to you about it. I think as men, we need to be more together. We need to watch out for each other. We need to have places where we can talk, where we can express, because we do have issues. You get rolled up on that, I get rolled up on other stuff. And I need ways to get it out, but the world doesn't care. The world doesn't care. And a lot of times when I talk to you, you don't care. You can tell sometimes you try, but then sometimes you don't. And that's okay. That's not.
I think that's just the tough side. I'm like, oh, get over it.
That's just a part of relationships. So, real quick, I know this is your interview, but I agree. That's one thing that I want to get across with men is the world doesn't care. And you need to step up, and you need to be the man, And I'll tell you, women have such a huge responsibility when it comes to choosing their mate, because it is such a huge thing. And as a man, you have to be that dependable person for your wife and for your kids. And whenever things go south, there's nobody else and everybody's looking at you. And you have to be able to get up, stand up, and execute. And with that, what I will tell you is what we didn't know as children and what we know now, and what we need to really hit home with and focus on is, since the responsibility is on me, since you're looking at me, then I'm in charge. We're doing it my way, and you need, as a man, to ensure that even though it's your decision and you're in charge, you do what's best for them. Servant leadership, as the person making decisions, I need to ensure that my decisions benefit my family, not just myself. It's not just about what I want, where you're just going to do what I want because this is what I want and how I want it. Correct. We as men need to make sure that we are doing it for them. And one thing that brought me to Christianity was the story of Jesus washing his apostles' feet. because no other God, and Jesus, he is synonymous with God. He is God incarnate. Jesus, whenever they asked what the Father looked like, he said, me. He is God. So God was essentially on his hands and knees. The creator of everything was his carnate, his avatar, him. He was on his feet washing his apostles' feet. And that is huge. Whenever me and Jennifer were working on a few things, we're having exercises where she submits to me every day. And I have had those exercises with her, and she didn't tell me to. It just came that I need to show her that I can do this. I'm not asking her to do something I myself will not do. So I took her and all my kids in the shower, and I got on my hands and knees, popped up a little chair for them so they get comfy, and I washed their feet. Mm-hmm. So men, you got to step up. There's nobody else out here. It's just us. It's literally just us. And we can be here for each other. And we can do amazing things when we collaborate. Because I will work for you if you work for me. That is how we need to look at it.
Yes, I agree. But that goes back to the way I was brought up. We didn't do that. And so it's been a struggle, and sometimes it's very hard because submit to a lot of women, myself included, is a bad word. It's they just want to be controlling. They just want to tell you what to do. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. You can do it by yourself. And now
I'm a strong, independent woman that don't need no man.
Yes. And not saying it's bad or whatever. Everybody was raised their own way. Mm-hmm. But when you really get to know that person and you kind of shut everybody else out and you really focus on just you and your spouse, it comes down to you just have each other and you have to lean on that person. Especially like us, we're here in San Antonio. None of our family lives here. We don't have, my parents don't live here. We don't have the support. So when times get tough, who do I have to lean on? And that's one thing I've had to tell myself, like, you have to lean on your spouse. You have to lean on him and let him know, like, okay, I'm struggling with this. Like, this is how I feel. Even though I believe in you and I have the most confidence you can get us out, but this is my worry. This is my struggle. And the submit word is terrible. Like, I don't want to do that. And in reality, submit is not wrong because you're not controlling me. You're not belittling me. You're helping me lean more onto you where I'm like, oh, this problem came up, instead of like, oh my God, there's a problem. There's this big wall and I can't go around. I can't go over it. I'm just focused on this wall. And with you, there could be a wall and you're like, okay, this is a plan. We're going to go under it. And if it doesn't work, then the plan is to go around it or knock it down. Like, you have multiple ways of seeing things that I just focus on. There's a wall. How did this damn wall get higher? Like, what do I do? I don't know. But that's where I think your relationship needs to be like, okay, I have this wall. I don't know what to do. Here's my wall. Help me. Lean in. What do I do? And that's where your spouse comes in and it's like, okay, this is our plan and this is how we're going to do it. One thing I will tell you, and I did hear it, and I definitely want to start doing it more, where anybody in the military, I've noticed y'all are always on guard. Active duty, veteran, it doesn't matter. They go to the police force, they're always on guard. You always have to be seated where you're looking at the door.
Says me with the door right behind me.
Yes. And I'm the one who's like, la-di-da, over here in the background, like, not caring about my surroundings.
The doors are locked.
Not caring about anything. And one thing I heard was, it was this husband and wife talking, and he goes, one thing I love about my wife is when I tell her, go do this, she doesn't ask, well, why? He's like, because if it's a situation that we're in a restaurant, somebody comes in with a weapon, I need to be able to tell her, go do this, instead of her being like, well, why? Why do I need to do that? It's because he's trying to protect her. And instead of her asking why, she goes and she does it. She protects her kids. He protects the whole family, and she executes. So I think that's where we need to be more open to our relationship, and us women need to know that when our husband tells us something, it's not to be rude or contradicting or controlling. It's to help us. It's to make a plan that if something happens to him, you were able to get out. You were able to be safe and everything. And then if something happens, y'all can always meet up. Y'all have like a little plan where y'all can meet up at the end. So I think that's one thing I'm trying to understand, that even though there's times that you're very focused and you're like, go do this. And I'm like, but why? Why do I need to do that? Instead of being like, oh, okay, yeah, let me go do it. So that's definitely one thing I need to work on.
I know with that, and kind of the whole submission word. I mean, honestly, we're probably gonna piss a lot of people off with that word, but I think people get the word submit wrong, because to submit, it doesn't mean that I take control. It means that you give control.
Yeah.
So for me to take control, that's to subjugate. That means I'm gonna go there and take what I want, and I'm gonna command, and I'm gonna be like, this is how we're running things.
Yeah.
But submit is you, of the woman, have to give the control. It's not taken.
I think that goes back to a lot of the way we were taught. We were taught that the word submit was bad. You were letting him be controlling, and that is not the word at all. And I think that there's a lot of us still struggle with the word, even though I'm probably going to make a lot of people mad. But us wives, we should submit to our husbands, because it's letting them lead us, letting them make better choices for the family. And I want to
blink 3 times if you need help.
Oh gosh, no. It's funny that you say that. Well, it's not funny, but a lot of people think that submit is very bad. But if you look at all the millionaires and all the billionaires, their wives submit to them, and that's why they're in the positions that they're in. A lot of people that are not wealthy, that don't focus on the relationship to better themselves, they struggle, and they end up in divorces and not making it very big. They live comfortably, and that's one thing you always say is, do you want to live comfortably, or do you want to live a very nice life? As you can tell, it was very expensive taste, and I don't think that's gone away. So I enjoy the nice things. I like the nice things, but to be able to have the nice things and to get the nice things, I have to give up a little bit of control. So like that, you can make the best decisions for our family financially. So we can get the things that we want, put ourselves in better positions and put our kids in better positions, because where we leave off, that's going to be the floor of our children, and then they're just going to go up from there. So I think we need to make the best of it and try to build each other up.
Okay, so let's rewind that back, and let's hear about the loneliness in Alaska.
Oh yes. So
where, first of all, Alaska, for people who don't know, there's 2 major space stations for military bases.
Yeah.
You have Anchorage, Alaska, which is Elmendorf, Richardson. So
which is a nice base.
You got Elmendorf, which is a huge Air Force base. You have Richardson, which is I think all Alaska's airborne. At the time, was 4th Brigade Airborne 25th ID. And then you have Wainwright. So Wainwright is
very tiny.
Is in interior Alaska. Well,
very
it's like 120, 30,000 people. They even had they had some decent restaurants.
They did have some good restaurants. Their mall was called the Hallway Mall, because
it was the hall.
It was the hall.
Yeah, it was Bentley Hall.
Yes, and it was literally just a hall with a few stores. That was it. It was very different from where I came from.
Talking about being lonely, Fort Wainwright is interior Alaska, so you're about 6 hours north of Richardson. There you have Eielson, Wainwright. Eielson's the Air Force base. Wainwright is the Army base. We were Stryker Brigade at the time, 25th Infantry Division, 1st Brigade. you are literally in the middle of nowhere. Everything on the outside of Fairbanks is tundra for hundreds and hundreds of miles. So I just wanted to give you kind of an idea. And in between Richardson and Wainwright was Denali, the Denali Mountain Range. We went to go check that out.
Yes, which is very nice.
And another fun story about the isolation is there's and we talked about things, and you even kind of talked about the stories that you were taught. There was a grandmother that was with her family. She left to the store. She vanished. Just poof. 5 years later, they found her car in a bush on the side of the road. Yes. That is how isolated it is. It is nowhere. So the stage is set.
Yes. So when I first get there, they make the wives do like an information event where they go and basically tell you, don't go anywhere by yourself. Don't go to the woods by yourself. Always have somebody with you, or tell somebody where you're going. Don't have your truck on empty, because if you run out of gas, you will freeze. And so, being this young kid, they totally scared the shit out of me.
Sounds like it needed to be done, though.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not going anywhere by myself. And then, well, your sister flew out with me, but then she only got to do a month with me. So we did the whole tour thing.
So a month? How long were you there by yourself?
So I was there we got there in January. You didn't come home till, I believe, August?
No, you weren't there 9 months.
January.
It was like, I think I got there in April.
I don't remember.
Maybe March or late March, early April. I was one of the last ones to leave.
So all I know is I was very lonely and very, very sad. So I'll tell you, your sister was getting ready to leave. We went to go watch a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. But it was about like this guy. He was in Alaska. He got stuck on a plane. The plane crashed in the woods. Right? Yeah.
I think it's the Gray.
The Gray. It might have been the Gray.
Could be wrong.
And he's like out in Alaska, and there's wolves. Well, the sergeants on base told us, hey, there's wolves, there's bears out here, there's moose. The moose are freaking huge.
Yes, they are.
When you're at the light, the moose is like towering over the car, and you're just like, holy crap, he could literally just crush me if he wanted to. They're huge. And I look at your sister and I'm like, bye, good luck. Like, I'm leaving, I'm driving her to the airport, and I'm like, bye, good luck, after we saw that movie. And I'm like, see you later.
Suck to suck.
Suck to suck. So I go back to the hotel, and it hasn't really sank in. Like, I'm by myself, I'm alone. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so nice to have the room by myself. I can do whatever I want. I can order food if I want. I don't have to eat. And then I get the house, and then that's when it really starts to sink in. Like, okay, you're alone. You don't have no friends here.
You don't have a job.
I don't have a job. I wake up whenever the hell I want. I don't know nobody. I'm in this house totally by myself. My neighbor creeped me out. He was like, oh, I noticed that you just moved in. Welcome to the neighborhood. But I haven't seen your husband. Where's your husband? Do you live alone? Are you by yourself? And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to kill me. I'm going to end up on the news in Alaska. I watched that stupid movie, like freaking out. And so I'm like, I need a dog. I need a dog for protection. I'm so lonely. I would call my mom, who was hours away from me, miles away, and I'd be crying to her, telling her, Mom, I want to come home.
Like 4,000 miles roughly?
Yeah. So, and mind you, when I was living with her, I was like, oh, I can't wait to get out of the house. I don't want to be here. I could do whatever I want.
She don't know shit.
When I moved away, I was, Mama, I miss you. Mother. I'm totally alone, crying, wanting to go back home. And she'd be like, oh my God, Jen, like, he's almost there. He's gonna come back. Like, don't freak out. And then I get us a German Shepherd. No, I lie. I got us, which is totally crazy. I got us an Alaskan wolf dog. He was half wolf, half husky. And I saw him on the shelter page, and the paper that had him on the page, it had him displayed as like a little puppy, and it didn't say anything about half wolf. It just said Siberian Husky for sale, needs a home. So I was like, oh, okay, he needs a home. So I go to the animal shelter, and it's this lady, and I'm not lying, guys, she had a dog this big, and he was a husky, but I didn't know he was wolf at the time. He was also part wolf. He was huge, black and gray. And I go, and I'm like, where's the puppy? And she brings me this dog that's like this big. And I'm like, that's a puppy? And she's like, yeah, he's a puppy. He's only 5 months. And I'm like, that's a big puppy. Like, that's not a puppy. That's almost a grown adult.
That's
like,
a dog.
That's a big old dog. And so I'm like, okay. And she's like, yes, there's sleigh dogs over there in Alaska. So his
sleigh.
Yeah. So his owners didn't want him because I guess they were selling him, and he wasn't mush material, they called it. So I guess he didn't fit the guidelines to be a mush dog. So they gave him to the shelter. So I go and I get this dog, and where she's telling me how to feed him. And she's like, oh, I feed him half moose, half dog food because he's half wolf. And I'm like, excuse me?
What?
And she's like, yeah, he's half wolf and half husky. And I'm like, oh my God, that is going to be so cool. Half wolf and half husky. Like, he's beautiful. He's black and gray, and he's just gorgeous. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And he has these pretty, like, yellow, hazily eyes. And I'm like, oh my God, he's so pretty. Like, my husband's going to love him. And oh my gosh, we live in Alaska. He's going to stick out. He's going to be a good guard dog. And so I take him home. But before I'm loading him in the car, he gets in a fight with that other husky that was there. And it's because she was the big one. It's because she was feeding them, and he was very territorial. He didn't like anybody to eat his food. And that puppy didn't know. So when he went to go eat, that dog attacked him. And then it took us forever to find him, and she was like, oh, give him these medicines because he got bit, and like I had to take care of him. And so I'm like, okay, oh my God, this is a lot at once. So I take him home, and thank God I had plastic, and I put it all over the carpet in our living room because he had the shits because of that medicine she gave me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm calling, and I'm like, he has the shits. And she's like, it's normal, like just keep feeding him, like he'll get out of it. And I'm like, okay. Well, the first night I bring him home, I put him in our room, I have a little bed, and I send my husband a picture. And I'm like, hey, look at this cool dog I got. His name is Achilles. And look at him, like, isn't he gorgeous? And he's like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I'm like, and he's half wolf. And he was like, no way.
Big old scary dog.
And I'm like, yeah. And so I go to sleep the first night, and I'm laying down in my bed, and all I see is his ears up, and he's like crouching, and he is like hunting, like stalking. And I'm like, what the hell is this dog doing? I go to sleep, and I'm like, Achilles, come here. And I kind of snap at him, and I put him, like, I point to the side of the bed, and I'm like, your bed's right here. Like, sit down right here. And in the morning, I guess he didn't like that, because in the morning...
Don't snap at me.
Yeah. In the morning, I got up.
I'm a wolf.
And our bed was square. It was back against the wall, and he was sitting at the corner guarding the door, because our door was like a barn door. It slid. And so I had it open. Well, he was guarding at the side of our bedroom where I couldn't get to the door, and he was at the edge of the bed. Well, I called him, and I went to get off my bed, and he growled. and he was like circling like back and forth, and I would tell him, Achilles, stop. And then when I would get another, like try to put my other foot down, he would growl like really ugly. And I was like, oh my God, this dog doesn't want to let me off my bed. And so I got back on the bed, and every time I would try to get off, he would be sitting, but whenever I try to get off, he would stand up and he would growl. And then he would go like close to me and then go back, and like he was guarding. And I'd be like, oh my God. So I called the lady and I was like, hey, you're going to have to come get this dog. Like, he's not wanting me to get off my bed. And she was like, well, I'm at work right now and I can't go get him. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait for you at 5, like come and get him after. And she's like, okay. Well, when I went to try to get off again, he snapped at me. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm not waiting till 5. This dog is going to eat me. And I was like, so I called her back and I'm like yelling at her. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but there's no way I can wait for you at 5. Like, he snapped at me. Like, he's not letting me off the bed. Now he's like putting his paws on the edge of the bed and he's growling at me. I was like, it's getting worse. Like, you need to come get this dog. And she was like, okay. Like, I'm on my way. And she comes and I hear this big old bang on the door, and he runs to the front door, and I get off the bed, I run, and I'm in the kitchen, and I have there was 2 doors in that house that we were renting. Mm-hmm. So the first door was opened, and the second door where I could see her, so he bolted back, like he went around me and he bolted to the bedroom. And I went in and I opened the door and I was like, hey, you're gonna have to come get him. Like, he's mean, like he is not friendly. And she was like, okay. So I showed her to my bedroom because he ran to the room. He hid in a corner. And she goes and she gets him and he wants to snap at her. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be able to let this dog be adopted. She was like, because he has more wolf tendencies than actual husky.
Than dog.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, he totally could have ate me at night. And I'm there sleeping with a wolf. And so she takes him and he goes with her. And because she goes back and she gets like moose food and he's just eating it, and she's baiting him out with the moose food, and she's like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, you can't have this dog, like he's more wolf.
He's feral.
Yeah, she was like, I'm gonna have to raise him and then kind of let him go, or he'll stick around with that other wolf dog she had. And she was like, but yeah, no. She's like, if you want to come by and get another dog, you can, but you can't have this one. And after that, I was like, I'm done with Siberian Huskies. I will not get another one. No, thank you. But yeah, no, I thought that was crazy that he had more wolf tendencies than actually husky. So yeah, no, be careful with those Huskies. They may have wolf in them. But yeah, no, he was not friendly. So after that, I got a German Shepherd, mm-hmm. which he was Achilles number 2. Yep. 2 times. So with him, I got him from a breeder in Alaska. This dog, God, I loved him. He was awesome. He was the most chickenest dog ever. But he had a growl and a bark like if he was a full-grown German Shepherd. Smart, but he was a weenie.
He had the fluffy ears.
Yeah.
He was a puppy. Yeah,
he was a weenie. So I'll tell you a story about Achilles number 2. But this is how I got him. I got him from a breeder, picked him out of his brothers and sisters, fell in love with him, brought him home, took a picture, and told Alejandro, I got you a German Shepherd, your dream dog, and his name is Achilles. And he was like, Achilles, another one? And I'm like, yeah, but this is Achilles 2.0.
This is an actual dog.
Yeah, this one's a dog, not wolf. I made sure. But I was getting the internet, and where we could get Dish Network, and I had him in a room. I put him in a kennel, and I was training him to sleep beside me. But when the guy was coming, because our neighbor had scared me and was asking like where your husband was, if I was living alone, I was like, oh my God. So I got Achilles a kennel. I covered him with a blanket, and I told the guy like, hey, I have a dog in my room, but he's covered. Like, don't move the blanket, don't touch him, he's not friendly, like he's a guard dog. But I put him up so you can set up the internet in our room. And he was like, okay. Thank God Achilles had like a grown bark, because he barked and that guy was like, he's put up, right? He can't get out? And I'm like, no, he can't get out. Just keep working. Like, it's okay. If like I'm here if you need me, but it's okay. He can't get out. And he was like, okay, thank God. So he hurried up and finished his job. I've never seen anybody set up internet so fast in my life. And he got in and he got out. And I was like, Achilles, I love you. You're the best. And
good job.
You did your job. Thank you. But even with Achilles, I was still so sad and so depressed. And if you've lived in Alaska in the winter, it's totally dark.
It's dark.
No sunlight. Like, the sun is like,
yep.
And it's gone. And being this young girl by myself with the dog, doing everything with the dog, playing with him, taking him on walks, I was still lonely. I was still so sad. I didn't talk to anybody. I just stayed home because I didn't know anybody. I lived off base. I didn't trust my neighbor, one of my neighbors. My other neighbors were super sweet. They had kids, but they were always busy. And I didn't have kids. I didn't have anybody. I was just by myself. And we had already did all the looking around Alaska, did all the traveling stuff. So I didn't go anywhere. I just ordered food, stayed home, watched TV, cried, called my mom, cried more, and have my dog. And that was my routine for, I think, 3 or 4 months until you got home. Yeah.
It was a month, yeah.
So
roughly.
At that time, I believe one of my husband's friends came home a little bit earlier, and mind you, I didn't have any of my husband's stuff. I was living in this big old house, no couch, no furniture, just a bed that I bought on base, and didn't have any of his stuff, didn't know how to get his stuff. He had a bike, didn't know how to get the bike. Until this friend came home and he told me how to get it's called home goods, how to get your home goods, how to get my ID to get on base, because I had a hard time. I couldn't get on base. I didn't have my military ID. Enroll me in Deers. I didn't know what Deers was. He basically, yeah, I'm like, what is Deers? Is that like an animal? Like, what is that?
I've seen a moose here.
Yeah, I've seen moose. I haven't seen no deer though. So he showed me, he got me on base, showed me the forms to fill out, and then went to the movie with him. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm your friend's wife. We can't hang out no more. So that broke off. So then again, I was totally by myself, and I didn't know when you were coming home. Waited for you to call. Sometimes you didn't call at all, and sometimes you would call and it was 15 minutes max. That's it. So if you're lonely, you don't need 15 minutes. You need an hour, because you're so lonely and you don't talk to anybody. You don't get no human interaction. So he would be like, okay, I gotta go after 15 minutes. I'd be like, no, I don't hang up. And he's like, I have to, like, there's people in line waiting to use the phone. I'm like, oh, okay, bye.
Yeah, transitioning, that was whenever we left the AO and we went back to Kandahar Airfield and we're getting ready to fly out. So there was a lot of people in the little area, and there was not a lot of They couldn't sit there.
Yeah, no. So it was 15 minutes. Hi, how are you doing? Are you okay? What have you been doing? Okay, well, I'll see you in a little bit. I'll see you later. I'll talk to you later. I'll try to call you back. And sometimes he did get to call back later the evening, and sometimes he didn't. And so it was very just up in the air. So it was the night he flew in. I had no idea. We were supposed to have spouses they're called like tree logs or something, where it's the top spouse. She calls the other spouses for your husband when he's coming home, so you can go pick him up, and they tell you like the location where to pick up your husband. I had no idea. Mind you, my husband called and he's like, I only got 5 minutes, so I'm landing, I'm gonna be there, this is the location, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. Mind you, I get on base, I'm totally lost, don't know where to go, don't have anybody's phone number to call to be like, hey, where are the soldiers coming in to fly, like to come home. Didn't know anybody, just saw this big old line of cars, and I'm like, I'm gonna follow that line. So I followed the line, waited I think 2 hours because y'all's flight had delayed, waiting for 2 hours, talking to a girl, and she was like, oh, are you here to see your husband? And I'm like, yes, what about you? And she's like, yeah. She was another girl, no kids, no nothing. And then we were talking, and then after that, I don't know where she went. She disappeared because then y'all lined up. We were standing on the chairs waiting for y'all, and then once they said y'all were dismissed, she bolted. She went to go find her boyfriend or husband, and I went to go find you. Found you. We went home, and I was still depressed.
Yeah.
Even though you were home. And I was excited that he was home, but I was still homesick. And I wanted to go home. And I went home.
You did.
I went home a month later. I went home. Even though he worked, he was off for like 2 or 3 days. Yeah. And then you had to go back in. Those 3 days, I was not sad. I was happy because he was home every day. I was like, oh, we can go do this, we can go do that. He was showing me around. He was taking me to the store. And mind you, the gallons of milk over there are freaking different. No, our milk here has like a little spout so you can pour it. Theirs are like sawed off, like just flat, and a big old fat thing of milk, like totally different. So it was definitely a learning experience. I never went to the grocery store, mind you, when he wasn't there. I ordered a lot.
Yes, you did.
I did a lot of take-in.
Yes, you did.
A lot.
I remember.
So I never cooked. I knew how to cook, but I didn't cook because what for? He had money. He was rolling. But very sad. And then whenever he would work, you're not supposed to do this, but I did. I would go on base, act like I'm taking him food that I would make from home because I didn't want to eat by myself, and go with him on CQ.
Yeah.
I would go and sit with my spouse on CQ, which if you don't know what that is, that he's like on guard watching the other soldiers come in.
Phones.
Yeah. Watching the phones. He was like in this little bitty office
24 hours
that he could see the front. He had a TV back there. People would be playing video games.
No, we were diligent soldiers.
Mind you, that was the best time ever. And the guys would come and they would play Guitar Hero with us, and they would bring their game consoles down there and play with me, and we would just have fun, like doing video games, and that was fun. But whenever he got told we couldn't do that no more because somebody tattleteller, whoever you are.
Somebody couldn't have fun.
Yeah, somebody couldn't have fun. They were being a fun sucker. I couldn't do it anymore. So I got sad and I got really depressed because my husband would be gone for 24 hours. And I felt like they always picked you.
I was on CQ a lot.
And I was like, what the hell? Like, he just got back. I haven't seen him in almost a year because he came down. Mind you, he was stuck at the Dallas airport, and he was supposed to be on R&R for 2 weeks, and we only had a week and 3 days left of his R&R, and we hurried up and got married, went to Vegas, had so much fun, and then he was gone. So that was really hard for me when I couldn't do CQ with him no more. I couldn't go to the barracks. It was really sad. Yeah, and then I found out I was gonna have our first baby, and I was like, you know what? I'm so sad. I'm so depressed. I just want to go home. And that's what I did. I flew back home, and I stayed in my hometown for the rest of my pregnancy. And me and my husband would just talk on the phone, and that was much it. But I was like super happy to be back home, which it's nice, but looking at it now, I wish I would have leaned more into my husband. This goes back to whenever you get married, you leave your family behind and you're creating a new family. But at that time, being young kids.
So for the family listening and the women listening, if you could go back then, if you could right now, everything you know, your knowledge now,
yes,
and jump back to, that would have been 2011. Yeah.
No, 2012.
Beginning of 2012.
Yes.
What would you do?
I would tell myself, number one, don't go early. Listen to your spouse. Go back home, or go to Alaska when he is literally there before you. Or try to make it a little earlier, like try to see when he's going to be there. But at that, it's very hard. They tell you your husband's going to be at a certain time, and then they can always extend it.
They do.
Or it's not the date at all, and your husband's already there, and you're like, oh, hello. But I wish I would have waited till you were there in Alaska, and then did the whole buy a house there. Instead of renting a house, buy us a house and stuff for BAH. And tell myself, it's okay. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be sad. But it's okay because you have your spouse there. I think if I would have went when you were there already, because you were there, I would have been having somebody to talk to instead of being totally by myself and being depressed and sad. So I would definitely tell myself, like, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to be hard and difficult because this is your first time being away from family, but lean on your husband. It's okay. Like, enjoy it. Let him show you Alaska, because when you showed me Denali and you took me around Alaska and you showed me all the cool little things about Alaska, I had fun. But I think when you were gone and had to do CQ, it felt like I was alone again. And I think if I would have had you there instead of me spending time alone by myself, I think I would have been like, oh, it's okay. Like, he's going to go do CQ and then come back and do our daily life like normal. But I think because I was already super sad and super depressed, that it really took a toll in the bad way.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So listen to your spouse. When they tell you don't do something early, don't be like, I'm going to do it. Listen. Because you don't know better.
I don't need no man.
Yeah, you don't know better. But yeah, I was super sad. And I think that's where we kind of had like a little downfall. And we started to kind of be a little more separate, because even the time that we spent apart, I felt like it was okay. And then that's when you went to Hawaii, you went by yourself, you did the whole packing our home and everything. You dealt with the struggles by yourself in Alaska. You got super sad. And then there was times where we just really hurtful. We did a lot of hurtful things that I feel like could have been avoided if I would have just listened and went when you were there and totally looked for a house together instead of doing it all by myself and having these really high expectations.
Even then, I think if you would have went, 2-3 weeks at most, a month early,
Yeah.
they would have enough time to, because then you would stay busy enrolling, getting a house, getting everything lined out.
And I wish I would have known that spouses in the military can go to school.
College, yeah.
Can go to college. I think if I would have known what I know now, I would have totally enrolled in school and kept busy that way and got my degree instead of waiting all these years later, which is okay, but I would be in a better position.
A lot further along.
Yes, correct, than what I am now.
So you're going to school now?
So I am. I'm very grateful. My husband got 100% disability, which gave me the opportunity to go back to school, which is totally cool because not only do I not have to work and stress out about money, I can go to school and focus on school, but they also pay me to go to school. And they also pay for my tuition, my books, basically kind of like what our husbands do when they get to use their chapter 35.
We use 33.
33, sorry.
Yeah, I use 35.
So we use chapter 35, which is the spouse benefits. It's the DEA.
Mm-hmm.
And
what does DEA stand for?
Of course, he has to put me on the spot. I don't remember.
Dependent Education Assistance Program.
There you go. Dependent Education Assistance Program.
Remember, you're going to be an advocate. You're a consultant now.
Yeah.
You got to know it.
So, I'm using that chapter. Mm-hmm. I'm going back.
What does that chapter get you?
So, that chapter gives me 35 months of eligibility to go back to school. I get about $1,400 in monthly compensation, but you have to take one class in person, and then the rest of your classes can be online. But I like taking my classes in person. I get to kind of meet people, which is really good because that's what we do. We network a lot, and then I get to kind of let them know if they are a spouse about the benefits that I'm using and that they could use.
We are about to have to wrap up here. Now you talked about in-service, how is it dealing with a disabled veteran, whenever, his disabilities kick in, how is it being a caretaker?
So I will tell you, I don't think we have enough time, but we can
hit on it now and then we'll have another video here pretty soon.
They don't tell you about the stuff when your spouse comes back from the deployments, what you have to deal with. I learned very quickly I could not wake you up because you would get scared and you didn't know where you were, and that happened in Alaska. And that's kind of like the same here back at home, but the only difference is with a veteran, you don't know what they've been through. Y'all don't talk to us about what y'all saw on deployment, what y'all went through. We have no idea. The only thing we know is what we experienced, how hard it was without y'all. Some people had to go and raise their kids without the other spouse. One thing that was really hard too was when you came back, I was used to just ordering food for myself and just worrying about myself when I would sometimes forget to order you food or to cook you food because I was by myself. And so that's another thing I had to learn. Okay, it's not only me here, it's also him here. So I have to make enough for both of us. Dealing with the veteran side, it's very hard to see your husband struggle because you don't know how to help and you want to fix it. You want to just be like, what can I do? How can I help you? But you can't do that because you don't know what they're experiencing or you don't know what they're going through. And it's very scary at times when the spouse is struggling, because that's where I feel like a lot of arguments are, because you take it personally, but it's not anything personal. It's just how they're feeling, and it's how they feel in the moment. And so sometimes you have to step back and think, okay, they're just probably having a really tough time. Some veterans do deal with depression even after the service. And a lot of things I hear my husband say is he misses the camaraderie. He misses the brotherhood, the being around other guys that they know what they went through and they can talk about it. Because as a wife, all you say is, I'm sorry. I don't know how you feel, but it's gonna be okay. You don't know if it's gonna be okay. You just tell them, oh, it's gonna be okay. Like, don't worry. Or their anxiety. You can be dealing with your anxiety of one way, and the way your spouse has their anxiety, what you learned to help you, totally doesn't work with your spouse. And you're just like, what the heck do I do? You just don't know. So I think one thing that would be very helpful is veterans, I know my husband wants to do it, is veterans get together and kind of just talk and meet and kind of experience, and then the wives get together. That's why I wanted to do more spousal events, is because one person's story can help another person, and one person's experience can help another spouse. So I think there's times where the veterans need to go off and kind of do the veteran thing, and then the wives can get together and kind of be like, okay, my husband's going through this. What have you experienced? Well, my husband does this. How do you deal with it? Or do you think my husband should talk to somebody or spend more time with other veterans? And I do think that's important. I do think veterans need to hang around other veterans to feel that support and that camaraderie and that brotherhood. And then the spouses get together so like that they can build the sisterhood and kind of lean on each other. But then at the end of it, you bring your relationship with your spouse a little more closer.
Nice. Okay, well, I think there was a lot of good information here. I think we should probably do more.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more we can talk about.
Yeah, there's so much more. A lot of dumb stories, crazy times. But yeah, no, I definitely think people need to lean on their spouses more and know that it's okay.
Perfect. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, interact any way you can. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll tag her as well. She will be creating her own page on YouTube shortly. Any other final comments? Anything else you want to say before we shut her down?
No, just again, don't get a husky.
Nice. No wolf dogs.
No wolf dogs.
Hope you have a great day and God bless.